Another really cool feature that we only started to use in Sam's van is this A-Core house hydrant. Normally, I would put a deck fill from the boating world. It's a stainless steel cover, it says water, you unscrew the cap, and you either stick your hose in it or you pour your jug. Now we're using the house hydrant, the A-Core house hydrant that I typically put on the side of the van to use as an outdoor washdown or a warm water shower. It's on the side of the van. Now I'm using it in the opposite direction. Why not? So we put the house hydrant fitting in. Here's your hose connection, garden hose, out to the source. Turn the water on over there, come over here, turn this on, you're filling the tank. I've got 1-inch opener PVC PEX pipe, 1-inch PEX A pipe. Here's your vent. Push this little button. There's an LED light that comes on so you can see when the tank is full. 45 gallons of fresh water on a ProMaster van. Turn off the valve, release this. There's a spring-loaded valve in here. It's kind of like, it's a one-way valve. You can only open it with the fitting. Put this in, now the valve's open. If this were the warm water washdown, you'd get water out of here. Vagabonds have showed you that. So here we're using it in the opposite direction. Perfect, I love it. Sam has already used it to fill his tank, and he loves it. He says it works very clean. There's only a few little drops that come out of here when you pull this fitting out, and that spring engages and closes off the water. So this first blue item vertically is the baby inverter. That's a 600-watt inverter, and it is here just to power the bed. That's it. The bed runs on 120 volt. It actually gets stepped down to 29 volt, but I don't trust those buck booster converters, so we're running it with the inverter. Then we've got our little solar controllers from Victron, and then right up here is the BMS for the battery. Next to that is my Xantrex 3012 3000 watt inverter. And on the back wall, safely out of the way but still easily accessible, are all of my positive leads, my negative leads, and my breakers. DC breaker, 2 solar breakers. Here's the main shutoff. I've got a fuse coming off the main shutoff. I've got another fuse going to the inverter. And below all that, right there is that's the whole power plant. That is a Lithionics 630 amp hour lithium battery. One big Mama Luke. And it goes way back. It goes all the way up to the refrigerator. And one thing I started doing now, I think it's a good idea, is I put a combination smoke and CO detector. I put one in the garage and I put one up front in the living space. This hatch here, if I open this, which I actually should, one-handed, this is the rear of the shore power. I've got the smart plug, but if anything ever goes wrong, you've got plenty of room to work on it from either side, access, right? I'm making the future failure a lot less catastrophic. And I even left the little Allen key. It's right here. It zip ties right there so you can use it to change these wires if you have to. And on this side of the microwave, front and center, is the water pump. This is a AquaJet from Remco, a very powerful pump. I have had some issues with them, but this one is functioning properly. And I'm sucking water up out of the tank. So I put a check valve on the bottom of that water supply line so that when you turn the pump off, the water doesn't drop back down into the tank and cause an air bubble the next time you turn it on. So there is water and or pressure on either side of this pump ready to go. What else can I see here? You can see my 1-inch PEX going down into the tank in the back. I do have an access hatch to get into this water tank to clean it. It's not so easily accessed until you want to pull all of this out. You take this front frame away, take the maple out, and you can get in there. And this is my closed loop glycol system. This is a reservoir filled with glycol or antifreeze, 2 gallons. When you start the engine, this gets pumped up front to a heat exchanger, and the heat exchanger will steal the heat from the coolant running through the engine, bring it back to my water tank, my water heater, which is right here. That's a 5.5 gallon water heater, and it heats water with the heat exchanger inside and temperature control valves on the front. So basically, we're making hot water for free while we're driving the van. It's also got a 750 watt heating element that runs off 120 volt. The vagabonds have been living with this system now in their van full time every day for over a year, and they have yet to turn on the 120 volt side of this heating system. They get plenty of hot water just from driving their van. Here's the heat exchanger back here. And what that's doing is I simply broke into the coolant lines for the engine. I just cut a coolant line, put it on this side of the heat exchanger, put the other end of the line on the other side of the heat exchanger, and the engine coolant passes through this side of the heat exchanger. My coolant passes through the other side. They never mix or touch. They just steal the heat. They exchange the heat. And that's how we make hot water. I have not taxed the engine system in any way. I just cut a hose and extended its travel by 8 inches at the most. In front of the heat exchanger here, this blue fixture, this is a Balmar voltage regulator. This van has a second alternator that is dedicated to charging the house battery, the Big Mama Luke. When he's driving, Sam is going to be pumping 280 amps into his battery, as well as the solar on the roof. But this alternator by Nations is a dedicated alternator just to charge the house battery. There's another alternator that takes care of the chassis. Up on the roof, I designed a full-length custom rack using 80/20 extruded aluminum. Shocking, right? Outboard on each side are 3 100-watt solar panels wired in parallel to their own solar controllers downstairs. Down the middle are 2 Max Air fans and the NDQ air conditioner. The Fiamma awning is hanging off fully custom adjustable mounting brackets. It can be adjusted up, down, fore and aft with the turn of a wrench.